I'm happy we are, and I'm honored to be doing it. But yeah, I know Luke would say, wait a minute, this is for me? This is all for me? And I remember Coach Dimmel telling me that Luke was his best signing he's ever had. That comes from a coach that Luke never played it down for. He didn't win him many games. He didn't help him keep his job. So that told me two things. It told me all I needed to know about Luke, and it really told me all I needed to know about Coach Dimmel.
The way he's honored as well. The nutrition station remains a mainstay here at UTEP. I mean, can you talk a little bit about just the nutrition station, how it's evolved over years?
Well, it's a good question because initially we were going to do a scholarship in Luke's name. And his brother, older brother, Joe Willie, said we should do something that benefits the whole team. And I said, you're exactly right. So when Luke was at Texas A&M, you can get steak and eggs in the morning if you want it. You get them at midnight. You get whatever you want. Huge, obviously, program. But he always would tell, I said, Luke, I was a steak and eggs this morning. He said, oh, it was good, but Daddy, the protein shake, amazing. I said, well, you guys had lobster tonight. How was a lobster? Daddy, protein shake, amazing. So we'd always talk about the protein shake. So that's when we decided, okay, we got to do this nutrition station with the protein shake. Now, fortunately, we've been able to raise enough money that we've expanded it. They do sandwiches, they do a bunch of other stuff, snacks, and all healthy, obviously. So that's the genesis of how that nutrition station started up. And very quickly, so it's the Luke Laughenberg fight station. And the day Luke passed, Jason Garrett did his press conference. He was the head coach of the Cowboys at the time. It was only devoted to Luke because 2 minutes in he started breaking down and left. But he had said, we talk about fight around here a lot. And the players would have fight on their T-shirts, And he said, but I don't think I've ever seen a better example of fight in my life than Luke Laughenberg. So that's how the fight station started up. Good?
Anything else for Ben?
All right.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, God.
New York Football Giants.
Hey, based on the preseason, yes. Hey, thank you guys all. And if you have any other questions, yeah. And I will tell you, I mean, it's probably not that it's off color, but I told Jason Witten, so when I called those guys or texted them, Troy Aikman and Jason, they've been friends. Troy and Jason have knew Luke literally his entire life from the day he was born, first day. And Witten and I had become friends. And Luke played tight end, and obviously Witten. So anyway, I said, hey, if you can just give this Marcus a call. And I gave him a little background. And, matter of fact, I sent him a video that UTEP posted when his dad told him you're on scholarship. So I sent him that, and I gave him a little background. Of course, they were happy to do it. So I said to Whit, excuse me, if you just 2 minutes, and I didn't want to have these guys take up their entire day, but long and short. And I texted Witten back, and I said, hey, Whit, can you give him 3 minutes? Because I said, he's a slot receiver, option runner. And Witten caught literally 500 balls on Y option. So I said, if you can give him an extra minute, just give him a couple of tips on how to run that option route, I would appreciate that. And I think so would he. Is Marcus still here? I don't know if Whit ever gave him the some technique stuff on the. I think he did though. I think he did.
Are you going to Logan?
Pardon me?
You going to Logan?
Just one more time.
You going to Logan Saturday?
Oh no, I will not be. No, I'll be watching. Matter of fact, ironically, the sideline reporter called me. She used to work for the Cowboys, so she's doing the game and wanted some. I said, "Oh, I got some information for you." Coach? Coach, you weren't here for it, but I'll be very quick because I know we got to get going here. But I told him when I called Jim Center and I texted you, and I said that stuff was you don't have to continue it, you don't have to. Oh yeah. And he was the first one to say, "Oh no," he was so.
No brainer. I love you, man. Love you, bro. Appreciate you. You didn't give him any of the plays or anything today, right?
Just a couple of them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Fake punt, right?
The power on, putting the power on in. All right.
I want to go on record too. I love Coach Walden, and I'm gonna love him even more if he wins Saturday. It's called conditional love.
That's right, man.
Not the unconditional love.
I love you, brother. I appreciate you, babe. One mic? So we're doing it this year?
Able to get set up right quick.
2025.
Yeah, 2020. Hey, Adrian, we're moving on up, man. You remember how many mics were up there last year?
That's
Jug-
Dan Peterson right here. He's the
Mike.
man.
Oh, no,
that
Hey, I met my man. Good
I
to
had
see you,
vision,
man.
He completed the vision.
I love it. We're all getting better, man. I love it. We're all getting better. Okay, you take your time, baby. You're good.
Everyone else ready to go?
Cool.
All right, Greg, we good?
All right, welcome, guys. First press conference. Very excited. A lot of excitement in the building this week. Just got off the field with a really good blue collar Tuesday practice. We had our flush Monday practice yesterday morning. Got a lot of reps. Very very proud of this team. I think the kind of feeling in the room and in the building is just excitement, pure joy and excitement for game week finally. I think these guys are ready to hit somebody else. We're ready to coach against somebody else. These guys are really excited about that, but we have to be diligent in our preparation in doing that because Saturday is just going to be a byproduct of the work we put in this week and the execution of the game plan. And I wanted first off just commend our football team on an amazing fall camp, just truly as a head football coach. I can't remember as my seventh. I've been blessed to be a head coach maybe 6-7 years now, something like that. Get lost in those years. They all start running together. Probably one of the better fall camps we've had. I mean, from a head football coach perspective, I love the camaraderie of this team. I love how they truly enjoy coming in the building every day and working with pure joy. They work really hard, and we're constantly talking about what it means to be a UTEP minor. And that means that we got to play more detailed than our opponent, purposeful. We got to play harder, and we got to play more violent. And that's the way that we practice, train. That's the way we run through. That's the way we lift. And our team has embodied that. And it's been awesome. It's been really cool in year two to see after a year's recruiting cycle and retaining. We did a study the other day, give or take a few numbers here. Gino, our GM, looking at the retention of our freshman class. And I always feel like in this day and age, if you can retain 70, 75%, even in that high 60% range of your freshman class, I think you're going to end up building some really, really quality players and quality depth. And we were able to retain around 70% of our freshman class from last season. And just if we continue to do that and foster that's going to build our program to where we want it to be. So it's cool to see the carryover this year. But like I said, we're very excited about game week. Our coaches are preparing extremely hard. We had a great practice today, good workout, played a very good Utah State football team. A ton of respect to Bronco Men and all. Has been doing it a long time, done it at an extremely high level at a lot of places. And we know this about his football teams and studying the teams he's been with. New Mexico last year, and now Utah State, but even going back to BYU and Virginia, his teams always play hard. They're very disciplined, have an enormous amount of respect for him and the way he runs his program and what he's about. And we know they're going to have several good players. Very hard to tell personnel-wise with a lot of new players. But we know they're going to have really good players. You got to remember this team. I think a reminder for fans, a reminder for everybody, this is a team that is going to the Pac-12 next year. This is a Power 4 football team. I'm sure their budgets are in alignment with that. I'm sure their NIL's in alignment with that. And so we're gonna have our hands full on Saturday. We're playing a very good football team that's going to be well coached and disciplined. And at the end of the day, like I've said to you guys before, like I've said to our team, I showed them the schedule first day. Every single opponent, it might say at Logan, Utah, it might say at the Sun Bowl, it might say at wherever, but the opponent is the same. It's UTEP. And it's more so about us and our execution and what we're about and what we're doing with our time preparing rather than our opponent. But it's been a good week thus far. We got to keep it going. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
How do you go about scouting? Were you scouting New Mexico from last year or Utah State from last year?
It would be different if it was let's say it was a coordinator change from New Mexico to Utah State. You may not have as much turnover from a player standpoint, so you can kind of blend both. Really with this one, you're looking at a lot of the old tape, because Especially defensively, Nick Howell, Coach Howell, very, very good defensive coordinators. I think been with Bronco for 18 years. And so they have a lot of good chemistry. And so you could tell they do a great job. The hardest part about the, scouting process, if you will, when you look at these guys is they've been consistent, but they've been different in times when they've been together because they do a great job adapting to their personnel. And that's probably the hardest part is I don't have a good gauge of – I can look at, their PFFs and the kids that they brought in and stuff, but how do those kids blend and gel with what they want to do is very difficult for me to tell. So I always think game ones, you gotta do a great job of leaning on your day one install, like your day one rules. And that's why as a coach, like when you install a play or install a scheme, there's got to be rules that can take you to in-game adjustments within the scheme rather than us saying, oh my gosh, we need to run a post route on this. We changed this play on the sideline. It doesn't work that way. So we're going to have to do a great job of adjusting within our scheme and in-game adjustments. So it's been difficult to prepare for, but always game one, you expect the unexpected. So we're prepared for a lot of things.
Well, they have a lot of new players. You all also have a lot of new faces on your squad.
Yeah.
Does that give you all kind of that advantage just the same way it gives them that advantage of a lot of newness?
I think so. I think that they could look at our team last year and they can see what type of culture and philosophy we're trying to instill. So, like from a play calling perspective, obviously on defense is new. So defense, they're probably having to look back at Montana State, kind of see, Bobby's, how, his tendencies and stuff like that. But I think overall they can look as a program and they can kind of see our vision and what we're trying to do, and I think have a better grasp of it. I can look at that in New Mexico, but still. All the personnel's new, so how does that fit? That makes it hard. But yeah, to your point, we do have a lot of new guys as well, and there could be some unknowns for them as well. I just think this game ones are always unique, and this day and age college football, they're more unique than ever for sure.
Malachi set to make his first start for you guys on Saturday. Just what are you expecting to see out of him come Saturday?
Yeah, I just want to see him play clean. The focus point is always on the quarterback. We all understand that. We have a quarterback maxim that we talk about all the time. Quarterbacks always get too much credit and they always take too much blame. That's the reality. But that's the position of power that the quarterback and the head coach hold, and we'll always be the two most. That's why I love coaching the quarterbacks as the head coach, because me and that guy in that room will always be the two most criticized people in this program, and I like it that way because we're in the foxhole together. And so that's something that's a really cool bond. And so I've just told him, hey, like something good happens, great. Something bad happens, move on. Have a short memory and understand I just wanted to play clean. I want to give him a plan that he feels comfortable with, that allows him to play fast and play clean and get the ball to our guys in space and get our offense in positive situations. We talk about every single day in this program, minors can't beat the minors. And we can't beat ourselves. And I think in game ones you see – that is a common theme, is teams that beat themselves. And so from the quarterback perspective, I'm not interested in, hey, let's go throw for 550 yards, 600 yards. We do that, great, let's go. I mean, that's always going to be a goal to be explosive. But, hey, let's take care of the football and put our defense in good positions. Let's do a great job of giving our team a chance to win at the end of the game. And so I just wanted to play clean, and he's done a great job of not putting added pressure on himself, anything like that. I think he's excited, ready for the moment, his preparation. He understands that, when you prepare, there's no need to be nervous, and he's doing a great job with his preparation right now.
What have you seen from him kind of this week now that he's become the starter and he knows he's the guy going into week one? I guess, what have you seen, maybe something different or just, in general?
It's what we thought, or, kind of what I discussed all the way back in spring of like my timeline of wanting to name a starter. One massive reason for that was so that the team could rally behind him, so that guy could get comfortable, handle all the media stuff that's going to come, and then no distractions on game week. And that really has been executed, at a very high level. His teammates have done an unbelievable job rallying around him in the locker room, on the field. And the difference, I guess, in action from him, his approach has been the same, but maybe the tangible action that now that he has been, afforded the opportunity to be named the starting quarterback is you see him more in front of the offense speaking. Things aren't going well. Let's get that again. One thing I was very, very pleased with, and something that I think that the starting quarterback should do in situations like this is extreme ownership. And we had our mock game was sloppy. It wasn't to our standard, was sloppy. And it wasn't, not one coach told him to do this or anything. He held the whole offense after the mock scrimmage, and we had families here and stuff. And so he held them all, and he wanted to get, 10 perfect plays in as an offense before we left that field. That's what a quarterback does. I thought that was a very impressive thing for especially a young guy that's going in his first start to do that. So that, as much as we don't say it, I think there's such thing as formal and informal leaders. Formal leaders, have titles, right? Informal leaders don't need a title. It's who you are that makes you a leader, and I believe in both. But sometimes that formal stamp on somebody gives them the confidence and the tenacity to go take it. And I've seen him do that. He's done a fantastic job with that this week.
And then in terms of Marcus and wearing the number 2, why was he the one that you decided deserves that, and what about him exemplifies everything that Luke represented?
Yeah, I mean, when I first took this job, as Babe mentioned, I'm a Texas guy through and through, and so I'm in tune to all things in the state of Texas and the Dallas Cowboys, and I could see on social media, what was happening with Luke, so when I took this job and I got the opportunity to talk to Babe the first time, I said, look, you don't have to ask me, you don't have to do it. We are going to continue to honor Luke's legacy here, and I think that was an amazing decision made by my predecessor, Dana Dimmel. God rest his soul, and that staff did an amazing job of working with Babe to decide to continue Luke's legacy. And I didn't want to, because I never got to meet Luke. I've never been around him, and so I didn't want to make a decision on anything that would be disrespectful to the Laughenberg family, disrespectful to Luke. And I think the right thing to do is to ask, hey, Babe, you tell me. Describe Luke and describe what he was about and the impact he made. And as Babe is talking, I'm just writing down everything Babe is saying, and then I'm like, man, this is our core values. And I told Babe our core values, Code Blue, commitment, relentlessness, unselfishness, toughness, and integrity. And I was like, would you say that what you're talking about summarizes that? And he's like, oh, Coach, that's it. And so to me, I was like, well, we're going to find the young man in this program that exemplifies that fight of Luke, that fighter warrior spirit, that is the guy that stays late, that guy that works extra, and he's committed. And it was unanimous, Marcus Torres, unanimous from our staff. And so excited for Marcus, and so excited for him to have that honor. And it's really cool when you talk to the kid about it. Zero hesitation. I mean, you gotta think in this day and age. Think about the world we live in today, where a lot of things are about me. And we're asking a young man to take his last name off of his jersey and put the Laughenberg name and represent the Laughenberg family, represent Luke on the back of his jersey. And with a resounding yes, Marcus answered, we're doing this. And it was no hesitation. That's a special young man. That's Code Blue. That's unselfishness. That's dying to self and that's also our creed, playing purposeful football, playing for something higher than yourself. And that's exactly what Marcus is. So it was an absolute no-brainer when we decided on Marcus. The only thing is I'm just jealous. He got calls from Troy Aikman, Jason Witten, and Jason Garrett. I'm a little jealous, but that's, I'll let that go, So, but at the end of the day, I'm so proud of that young man, and we're honored to continue Luke's legacy in this program.
Just to add on to that, putting him on scholarship, I think everyone saw the video.
Yeah.
Just can you run me through what kind of went into that?
Oh, we've been thinking about it a long time. With this new day and age of college football, revenue sharing, roster caps, and having to be able to move to equivalencies and do all this. That we were just trying to get the numbers straight of what we could do, and we had talked about it because Marcus, we didn't give him that Laughenberg jersey because, hey man, he just works hard. This kid produces. This kid. I think I told y'all this, we talk about working behind the scenes. I look out of my window in the sun. We have an official visit going on. I look out of my window of the Sun Bowl. We had a little break, and we're getting ready for the photo shoot. Multiple times I look out my window. There's one constant receiver, and there were multiple, but there was one guy that was a constant every day in that Sun Bowl. In December, after our season, this kid was on the Devo squad all last year for us. It's Marcus Torres. Working to get better, hone his craft, and hard work pays off, man. And so this kid in spring ball ended up just not only just producing and leading us in receptions and doing all those things, but being a stud on defense, being a leader in his minor team, killing it in mat drills over here in Memorial Gym. his leadership and it was unbelievable, and his buy-in to this program and his sacrifice for this program, just absolutely undeniable. And so we've been thinking about, we wanted to put him on for a while now, and we're just trying to find the right to make sure we could do it. Once we got that green light, I called Mark, his dad. Mark has been so just awesome to our program. You know, he's a former minor. And he's head coach at Butte Hayes High School here in Texas. And I just pitched an idea to him. I said, hey, I think it'd be really cool if you and the family got on the Zoom, because his mom was on the Zoom as well, and you guys told him. And he was like, you serious? I'm like, yeah, like I think that would be more, that'll be something you guys will never forget as a family. And you got me, I'm a D3 guy, man, so I would have given my left arm to be on scholarship, man. So like to see these kids get that opportunity is like, we want that to be just a memory that they'll never forget. And I thought, if you watch the whole video, Coach Torres just killed it. I mean, absolutely. He had us going. I was like, man, is he going to forget to do it? Like, I mean, he was going, you know. And then just, like, as soon as he said the words, the video doesn't do it justice, how palpable the pop was in that room when he said it. His teammate, you just could feel his teammate, the love that they have for Marcus, and it's just everything they embody. So it was really cool to get to do that. Very cool.
So, Coach, here we go again, and I'm just interested in your assessment of what you did from last year to beef up the line, and obviously that's the glue of the offense, you know. And
100%.
I'm just curious to know who excelled, you know, what you see as, you know,
yes, sir,
top linemen, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was a focal point, number one focal point for us in recruiting and development. And you know, I know we've thrown this stat around, but two stats that stick out to me that have just been unbelievable in changing that dynamic is, we needed to get bigger. You know, our tackles last year, good hard-nosed players, but, 6'3", 6'4". We felt like we needed to get bigger, get stronger. And, the average alignment we brought in our recruiting class, I would not, I never had been that way, but D-lines are getting so good and so big, man, that you got to recruit big people. Big people beat up little people, and you got to recruit big people. And I want big people around me because I'm a little guy. I want to be able to, be that tough guy and hide behind them. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old quarterback, so I just want to hide behind them. So the average O-line we brought in was 6'6", 315. And so we beefed up from a size standpoint. Obviously, not being facetious, like they have to be guys that can move too. It can't just be 6'6" guys that can't move their feet. I thought we did a phenomenal job identifying that. The second thing is, like I told you, the average squat max went up over 100 pounds in this program. The average bench max went up over 50 pounds in this program. Our average clean max went up about 50 pounds as well in this program. Like, when I tell you we are a stronger, more physical, longer team, we just, a year in the weight room, a year from nutrition, a year from recruiting, we are just a much different looking team. When we march out there, I'd like to think we at least look like an FBS football team. You know what I mean? And so that's a phenomenal sign. But these kids can move, and they're extremely relentless up front. Like, I love last year where I feel like there's several times in fall camp. I mean, we thanks to Babe, we got us. You asked another question. Thanks to Laughenberg here, all right? And this is my fault. This is crazy. You'll love this, Abe. All right. I didn't realize this until we got done with the season, or like the latter part of the season, and Stanchek tells me, because I'm like, man, we get those guys on the sled, like, make sure we get them on the sled, He's like, because we ain't got a 5-man sled. I said, we ain't got a what? We're an FBS program. We're pushing a 4-man, look, I ain't very smart, but they were pushing a 4-man, I guess, D-line sled. I mean, I was watching what they were pushing. I'm like, man, I could go push that thing with one arm. Like, I'm like, this is interesting. So thanks to Babe Laughenberg, man, stepped up, and we got us a 5-man bull sled, which is top of the stinking line. So you better believe, brother, we had about 10, 20 minutes. We had some hellacious days with that O-line pushing that sled. As Babe said after practice, I don't know if the O-line's very happy with Babe, but you know what? We needed it. And so, because what is that? We also bought a machine up in the weight room. It's the best machine that you can buy in your weight room. It's called the Austin Leg Drive. And it's, we had one in high school. We had 2 of them. We used to race each other up those things. Man, it's literally working on running your feet on contact, pushing a man against his will. That's what playing offensive line is. So we've now incorporated that into our workouts. Guys will go do squat, they'll clean, they'll sprint over, because what are we, a tempo offense, right? So we'll get up on that Austin leg drive, take his own step, drive that thing to the wall, about 3 times run back. So everything we do is conducive to how we play. And so you're asking how we beat that lineup. You know, obviously recruiting and development, but some tangible items that have helped us do that is that sled and that awesome leg drive, and we're using that thing every day. So I've really loved, going back to my point, I love the strain that I see from our O-line. Those guys are pushing that sled, and then they're able to finish practice. Whereas last year, there's couple practices, we had several guys couldn't finish our practices, and now that has not been the case. So we just got to stay healthy up front. We got to stay. I think that's everybody in the country. You know, you got to keep those big guys healthy as best you can, and they're doing a great job right now.
I'll tell you a quick story on the 5-man sled. You don't know this, Coach. So there's a guy that I deal with. We do a loop award every right, offense, defense, special.
Oh, yeah.
We fund that. They get a plaque.
Yep.
And the Hustle Award.
Hustle Award, yep.
Hats and things we buy for the coffee fundraiser, you know, bags and logo. So when I said, he was like, "You want a 5-man sled?" Like,
That's right. Couldn't done it without you, man. Like, it's been a game changer, absolute game changer. It's helped us a lot.
Are you, with what you have right now schematically, knowing you have 2 new coordinators by your side?
Yep. A few things, obviously, today and getting into our situational stuff. But I think we've done a great. You have these guys more now than ever. So, like, in the summer, I mean, our guys in OTAs are getting, you know, we have a situational playbook as well. So we've got to get through not only our installs, but we got to check off every situation, end of half, end of game, our final plays. I mean, there's so many situations in the game of football that you have to go through. And I feel we've hit every single one. And now this is the first time where we take that menu and we narrow it in to, okay, this is how we're going to go attack our opponents this week. So I feel really good about where our kids are grasping it. We've made a few tweaks and adjustments for game plan stuff that we got to get cleaned up off the film today, but that's to be expected. But I feel very comfortable.
Coach Mendenhall had an opportunity to turn a historically program that doesn't win a lot at New Mexico into, you know, a 5-win squad last year, and then gets the job over at Utah State. What kind of things did he do right at a program where, you know, they didn't have a lot of success beforehand that maybe you could draw on at a school like this with UTEP, you know, which isn't historically a winner?
Yeah, I think he came in there with a great plan. I haven't, you know, done like a deep dive study on all the intricacies he did, but I think that it kind of goes back. One thing I noticed was they did a great job of adapting. You know, they started out in a certain defensive front, and towards the middle of the year, towards the latter part, they totally changed. You know, that front and went to more of a 3-down front, and kind of found that as their niche with that personnel. And same thing on offense. And now, you know, Devin Dampier was an electric quarterback. He's at Utah now. Obviously, you know, they obviously, you know, hit on him, but you could tell early in the season they were still figuring out, okay, his skill set. And I think he was, I can't remember his whole story, but I think he was there when they got there. I can't remember if they brought him in or he was there. But anyway, I think they got to learn him. And about midway through the season, like, you know, it took off, and they started to play to his strengths. So I think at the end of the day, I think Coach Mendenhall and his staff do a phenomenal job of adapting to their personnel. That's probably the biggest thing I could say. I'm not really sure from fundraising, NIL, or what, you know, all those stuff. I couldn't speak to those things, but what I see on tape is a very well-coached team and a team that adapted. And they play with great energy. I mean, they play, you know, very physical. They play discipline, and they play with phenomenal energy. And I think all those things culminated, and you got them on a, you know, I think there was a point in time they won like 3 or 4 games in a row. They got on a hot streak. You know, I think they beat Washington State. I mean, they got on a roll there, and they did a great job adapting their personnel.
What is a scouting report for Utah State?
You know, that's a great question. I mean, it's kind of a blank slate. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you this. I know this. I had a chance last year to watch them play San Diego State. It's kind of a weird deal. Kind of one of those midweek games we had, and you know, they just happened to be on, and I caught a couple drives, and their quarterback is the real deal. Bryson Barnes is the real deal. That kid, I believe he's a local kid. He's a Utah kid, I believe, but is an unbelievable just unbelievable competitor. You can see it the way he plays. He's a great runner. We're gonna have to be very disciplined with him as a runner, but also he's a good passer. I mean, he ain't just a one-trick pony. I think he's the total package. The pieces around him, I think they're good just from from what we've seen, but they don't have just a ton of returning guys, obviously. But from what they've recruited, and again, like I said, I mean, I think they went after the portal aggressive. They're going to the Pac-12. I'm sure they have a good, probably NIL base to go get some good players, and then Coach Mendenhall, I feel like they do a great job culturally. So I think they've done a great job blending those guys together. Defensively, I know that there's like a report out there, their safety suspended. Like we're not buying that. He's gonna play. We're gonna be prepared for him to play. Number 6, he's an NFL safety. He's special. I think it's Larson, Ike Larson. That kid is dynamic and will come downhill. And he's got phenomenal coverage skills, so we are fully preparing for him. And then their linebacker core is extremely deep, and I think they're very physical in the box from what we can tell. But at the end of the day, it's about us. It's about our football team. It's about our execution. It's about us staying ingrained in our process and focusing on us and preparing to win every single day and staying ingrained in that rather than their personnel.
They released the depth chart that was blank. You guys followed suit. Just kind of run me through the gamesmanship or the decision for you guys to.
I mean, to their credit, I think the 2 deep's overrated. I don't look at those one time when they send them anyway. I think everybody lies on that deal. You know what I mean? So, I've never told a lie on that. So we're good. But no, I think they don't send theirs. We don't send ours. That's how it works.
So the UTEP offense was middle of the conference in average running pass yards a game last year, but bottom 3 in average points a game.
Yeah.
So going into this year and starting Saturday, what do you think has been harped on so that you guys can get into the end zone?
Yeah, I really appreciate the level of confidence in the first game because I'd say we were probably bottom tier in yards as well, to be honest with you. We say this all the time. It's a phenomenal question. It's all that we put a massive emphasis from personnel decisions to what we do in practice to schematics, a premium, and it's always been this way. But even doubling down on it, it's always points over yards. I mean, I could care less. We walk out of a game. People. I hear people say, "Hey, they're the number 1 offense in the league." Okay, what are you basing that on? Are you basing it on yards or points? Because if you're basing it on yards, no, they're not. It's all and a better stat, in my opinion, is yards per play. Because some teams, based on games, especially now with the new rule change with the clock not stopping on first downs and the NFL model, you don't get as many plays off. Back in the day, our goal used to be to run 80 to 90 plays a game. That's a lot now. You may have a game where you run 58 plays, but if you run 58 plays and you got 500 yards, 400 yards, that's a pretty dang good day, right? If I run 105 plays and I got 430 yards, that's a pretty bad day. My average yards per play is pretty bad. But at the end of the day, points over everything. So that's why, when we made personnel decisions, we've quantified each stat, meaning receptions don't mean I care at this level, everybody better be able to catch the football. Our receiver room better be able to catch. Whoop-de-doo, you catch the ball. Do you score the ball? That's what matters to me. Do you score the ball? Okay, right there. So we don't put as much of a premium on receptions as we do receiving touchdowns. So we put a premium on that, and we have made personnel decisions based on that, and then we have just honed that in with our guys of, schematically, hey, how can we get our players in a position where they can be successful and be explosive, put the ball in the paint, as you're talking about. It's a great question.
UTEP hadn't had a lot of success recently on the road. How have you kind of addressed that?
I don't even talk about it. I don't even know our win-loss road. I'm just trying to win no matter what. I don't care if we're playing in Egypt or in the Sun Bowl. I don't care. I always talk about this. When I think when you go on the road, you got to be more than conquerors, man. I think that's the biggest message I have to our guys. We got to create our own energy. But at the end of the day, I don't put too much emphasis on if we're playing at home or playing away. The standard is standard no matter where we play, and we got to go take care of business.
It's Mountain West still. There's still, for at least one more season there, a lot of eyes from the league will be on this game as well. I mean, just your thoughts as the Miners look to enter the Mountain West next year.
Yeah.
That's the plan and everything like that.
Yeah.
But just playing a team who's currently in this league.
We already paid the bill, so we're already in, man. So our performance on Saturday ain't gonna affect nothing, with that. But no, it's a great test. They're a great team, and we getting a chance to play a team from our conference a year from now is is cool, but it's not really our focus. I'm just focused on this year at the end of the day. But they're a good football team.
Anything else, Coach?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Wait,
Thank y'all.
Another question? One
Oh,
more here?
yes, sir. No, yeah, you're good, man.
Of course,
Yes, sir.
last year being your first year as a head coach for FBS level,
Yes, sir.
going into this year, how have you elevated to improve your coaching style and you going into
Yeah.
this year?
No, phenomenal question, man. I mean, I think, for me, I was blessed to spend, 3 seasons at the University of Southern Mississippi in this league. And so got to see it from that perspective. And, regardless, if I was a head coach or not, I served a couple games as interim head coach there. But it was a good remembrance of, how big this league is in the trenches and how big, like when you go from FCS to FBS, and that was something that was really addressed from a size standpoint in terms of recruiting and upping that. And then the landscape, adapting, when I was at Southern Miss, NIL wasn't a deal, that was revenue sharing wasn't a deal. Understanding that dynamic now and just how critical that is to have proper resources, for our players. And then for me, self-reflecting, self-scout and things like that, I got it, the margin for error at this level is little to none, whereas you may have a little more leeway at other levels. And that's what I love about this level. You got the cream of the crop guys you're coaching with and against cream of the crop coaches. And so the margin for error is very small. So for me, introspect, how can I be more detailed in our plan? And I feel so much more solidified in our plan, making decisions quicker, getting, and I think like understanding our team, understanding like the guys that we did retain, like what they're good at, what they're not good at, having a better feel for that and having a concrete plan in place that is flexible, that allows us to make adjustments when need be, but having that in place so that our guys can be successful. But that starts with me being detailed, holding the coaches accountable, holding our players accountable. One tangible thing is like, we watch more film as a staff together this off season, so that we, it's not just, hey guys, I need this done. Like we're in there together, watching the film together and seeing the game and talking about the game in the way that it needs to be played from our perspective. So we're in total alignment in that. So I think those are a couple tangible things we've done to fix that. Great question, man. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.